FIFA President Gianni Infantino stood in front of the cameras and called it the greatest World Cup in history. He said that 500 million people had requested tickets. He said this tournament would change football forever. He called it a celebration of unity, of humanity, of everything the beautiful game represents. And then the tournament started, and the disasters started arriving one after another so fast that FIFA's communications team could barely keep up with the spin. I am MB. This is House of MB. And today we are going inside the chaos that has already exploded at the 2026 FIFA World Cup. The empty seats FIFA is lying about, the VAR official investigated for a white nationalist gesture on live television, the country at war with a host nation being forced to commute across a border to play its matches, the goalkeeper whose mother could not watch her son make history because of a visa ban, the ticket that cost $32,970, and the immigration agents that could arrest fans inside stadiums. This was supposed to be the greatest World Cup ever. Instead, in the space of just 1 week, it has become the most controversial tournament FIFA has ever organized. And we are going to go through every single disaster one by one because football fans around the world deserve to know the full picture, not the version FIFA's press office is frantically trying to manage. Let us start with the empty seats. Because this is where FIFA's credibility took its first major hit of the tournament, and where the organization revealed once again its instinct to deny reality rather than address it. During the first week of matches, viral images began circulating on social media, images of World Cup stadiums with enormous sections of empty seats. The South Korea versus Czech Republic match in Guadalajara, Mexico showed vast swaths of unoccupied seats visible throughout the stadium. Similar images emerged from the Switzerland versus Qatar match and from the Japan versus Netherlands match, a game that, given the global profiles of both nations involved, should have been one of the more heavily attended fixtures of the group stage. FIFA's response to these images was swift and deeply revealing about how the organization operates when uncomfortable realities emerge publicly. FIFA issued an official statement saying that the apparently empty seats were not actually empty, that fans were, in FIFA's words, standing in concourses rather than staying in their assigned seats throughout the match. The official statement said that FIFA's attendance figures reflected the number of tickets scanned and spectators present within the stadium footprint, rather than visual assessments of seating occupancy at any given moment during the match. Let me translate that for you. FIFA's position was that the viral images of empty seats did not show empty seats. They showed seats that belonged to people who had purchased tickets and entered the stadium, but who had chosen simultaneously to be somewhere other than their seats during the match. The Athletic reported something that undermines this explanation entirely, that at some of these matches, volunteers had to be deployed to fill empty seats during play, not fans who had wandered to concourses, volunteers, specifically positioned in seats to make the stadium look less empty during broadcast. FIFA has sold more than 6 million tickets for this World Cup, and Infantino has repeatedly claimed unprecedented demand. The visual reality of empty seats at group stage matches, combined with FIFA's explanation that defies basic logic, represents a credibility problem that will follow the organization throughout this tournament and long after it ends. Now let us talk about the VAR official and the incident that had FIFA opening a formal investigation within 48 hours of the tournament beginning. During the Germany versus Curaçao match, a match that Germany won 7-1 in one of the most one-sided results of the early group stage, cameras cut to Sean Evans, an Australian referee serving as one of the video assistant referees at the World Cup Broadcast Center in Dallas. On live television, Evans was seen forming a circle with his thumb and index finger while extending his remaining fingers. A gesture that, inverted as Evans made it, has been designated a hate symbol by the Anti-Defamation League since 2019, associated with white supremacist groups. The footage spread across social media with extraordinary speed. FAIR, an organization that monitors racist and discriminatory behavior in football, accused Evans of intentionally transmitting what they described as a far-right neo-Nazi symbol and called on FIFA to intervene immediately. Evans subsequently denied the accusation, stating that the gesture was not intentional and had no hateful meaning behind it. FIFA confirmed it had launched an investigation into the incident. The visual reality of a VAR official appearing to make a gesture associated with white supremacy on live television during a World Cup match broadcast to hundreds of millions of people globally represents exactly the kind of incident that FIFA's elaborate pre-tournament protocols are supposed to prevent. Whether Evan's explanation is accepted or not, the image exists. It was broadcast. It spread globally, and at a tournament that is already dealing with more controversies than FIFA can comfortably manage, it represents another chapter in a story that is becoming increasingly difficult for FIFA to control. Now let us talk about the situation that is, arguably, the most geopolitically extraordinary in the history of the World Cup. Iran is at war with the United States. Not a cold conflict, not a diplomatic dispute. A state of active military confrontation between one of the tournament's host nations and one of its competing teams. Iran's players have been granted visas to enter the United States and compete. But a substantial portion of Iran's coaching, managerial, and support staff were reportedly denied entry permits, prompting accusations from Iranian officials of discriminatory and politically motivated treatment by U.S. authorities. The situation has resulted in an arrangement that would have been unthinkable when this World Cup was first planned. Iran's team has been based in Mexico, crossing the border into the United States specifically for their matches, then crossing back. A national team competing at a World Cup held in a country their government is at war with, commuting across an international border to play their group stage fixtures. Iranian fans face an even more extraordinary situation. Most ordinary Iranian citizens cannot obtain visas to travel to the United States at all. But in Los Angeles, home to one of the largest Iranian diaspora communities in the world, thousands of Iranian Americans attended the Iran versus New Zealand match, and many of them were not there to support their national team. Many of them were there to protest against the Iranian government, booing Iran's national anthem, waving opposition flags, and demonstrating against the regime that controls Iranian football. FIFA had, as in previous World Cups, banned the lion and sun flag, a symbol associated with opposition to Iran's current government, from World Cup stadiums. Despite this, several Iranian fans brought the flags in and were not stopped by security. The Iran versus New Zealand match ended 2-2, but the match itself was almost a secondary story to everything happening in the stands and the geopolitical context surrounding it. And the situation was further inflamed when Iranian striker Mohammad Mohabi celebrated his goal with a gun-style gesture, a celebration that drew immediate condemnation in the United States, given the country's ongoing debates around gun violence, and prompted FIFA to open a disciplinary inquiry into the player. One match, one result. Multiple FIFA investigations. This is the Iran situation at the 2026 World Cup, and it is not going to get simpler as the tournament progresses. Now let us talk about the visa nightmare that has affected not just Iran, but dozens of nations and thousands of individual people connected to this tournament in ways large and small. The second Trump administration introduced a travel ban affecting citizens from 39 countries, a ban that included nations whose teams had qualified for the World Cup, including Haiti, Iran, Ivory Coast, and Senegal. FIFA negotiated exemptions for players, coaches, and essential support staff from these nations, but ordinary fans from the affected countries were effectively barred from attending their national team's matches in the United States. For the team of Cape Verde, making their first ever appearance at a Men's World Cup, producing one of the tournament's early fairy tale stories by holding Spain to a scoreless draw, goalkeeper Josimar José Evora Diaz, known as Vozinha, made 7 saves in that historic result. After the match, he broke down in tears on the pitch. When asked why, he explained that his mother could not be there. Not because she did not want to come, not because tickets were unavailable, but because she could not obtain a U.S. visa. The goalkeeper's mother could not watch her son make history at a World Cup. Because of a visa system that FIFA chose to operate its tournament within, in a country that FIFA chose to host its tournament in, knowing that these restrictions existed. FIFA knew about the travel ban, FIFA knew about the visa complications. FIFA chose to proceed with the United States as a host despite these complications, because the commercial value of hosting in America, with its massive potential audience and commercial market, was too significant to walk away from. And the price of that decision was paid by Vozinha's mother watching from home, by thousands of fans from affected countries unable to travel, by players whose family members could not attend their World Cup matches, and it was paid by an Iraqi striker who was held for 7 hours at Chicago O'Hare Airport before being cleared to enter the country, by a Somali referee who was turned away at Miami, by coaching staff from multiple nations who were denied entry and had to be replaced with local alternatives. These are not abstract policy consequences. These are human beings, directly affected by decisions that FIFA made when it chose this tournament's hosts and chose to proceed despite knowing the complications that would follow. Now let us talk about money, specifically the cost of attending this World Cup for ordinary fans. FIFA claims 6 million tickets have been sold. What they talk about less is what those tickets actually cost. The New York Times reported that a ticket to the World Cup final is listed at $32,970. $32,970 for one ticket to one football match. And that is before accommodation, travel, or any other expenses. 2 nights of hotel accommodation plus a ticket to a single group stage match in New York, which actually means New Jersey since no matches are being played in New York City itself, costs around $2,000. Train and bus tickets to reach MetLife Stadium from Manhattan have been reported as high as $98, more than 7 times the normal price of $12.90. FIFA has positioned the expansion to 48 teams, more cities, and multiple host nations as a democratization of the World Cup. More countries competing, more fans able to attend, a more inclusive tournament. The ticket and accommodation pricing reality has made this the most expensive World Cup in history by a considerable margin, a tournament whose stated democratization coexists with pricing structures that exclude the vast majority of ordinary global football fans from attending in person. Then there is the heat. Scientists signed an open letter to FIFA warning that 14 of the 16 World Cup stadiums could exceed potentially dangerous temperature levels during the tournament. In parts of northern Mexico and the southern United States, temperatures are likely to exceed 30 degrees Celsius. FIFA introduced mandatory 3-minute cooling breaks in each half of every match as a response to these concerns. The scientists who wrote the open letter called for that to be doubled to a minimum of 6 minutes. FIFA kept it at 3. Because 3 minutes of cooling breaks per half represents a disruption to broadcasting schedules that sponsors and broadcasters have paid enormous sums to control. And because FIFA's response to scientific recommendations, when those recommendations conflict with commercial considerations, has historically followed a predictable pattern, the commercial consideration wins. We have documented that pattern extensively on this channel, across videos about Qatar's construction workers, about broadcasting rights, about hosting decisions. Here, at this World Cup, that same pattern appears again, scientists recommending 6 minutes, FIFA implementing 3, and the players competing in dangerous heat in between. Every single one of these disasters, the empty seats, the VAR gesture, the Iran situation, the visa nightmares, the ticket prices, the ICE threat, the heat, was foreseeable. Many of them were specifically predicted by journalists, human rights organizations, scientists, and football governance experts in the years and months before this tournament began. FIFA knew. FIFA proceeded. Because the commercial value of this World Cup, the broadcasting rights, the sponsorship deals, the hospitality packages, the licensing, demanded that it proceed regardless of the complications that were clearly visible on the horizon. That is not the organization FIFA presents itself as being in its press releases and Gianni Infantino's speeches about football uniting humanity. That is the organization FIFA actually is. One that, when commercial imperatives and human welfare point in different directions, makes the same choice it has been documented making repeatedly throughout the history we have covered on this channel. The greatest World Cup in history, that is what FIFA called it. 1 week in, it has already generated more controversies than FIFA can comfortably manage, more human stories of people failed by the system than FIFA's PR operation can spin away, and more evidence of the gap between what FIFA says it is and what FIFA actually does than any single tournament in recent memory has produced. I am MB. This is House of MB. We will keep covering every development as this tournament unfolds. Subscribe, hit the bell, share this video with every football fan you know who deserves to see the full picture, and I will see you in the next one.